What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast, episode number 117. I'm Jeff James. With me, as always, the incredible, unobtainable inventor of the Pocket Protector.
Ooh,
Keep it
ooh,
baby. You got scared.
ooh. I
You
even
got
saw it. You started to go. I'm like, oh man, here it goes. Here we are.
spooky.
Oh man.
Spooky. I'm just turning my light
Yeah.
off.
Yes. So it's Halloween. We're recording this on Halloween
Right.
here.
It's
So Jeff's
November
really in
1st
the
if you're
mood.
listening to this, so might not make any sense, but hey.
Yeah. Right. Because how would you remember yesterday? That's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man.
How are you, man?
I'm pretty
You're
good.
good.
I'm pretty
You're
good.
good.
Yeah. I'm all right. I'm just got a headache from that eye exam. My eyes are dilated. Looks like I mean, probably not now.
No, you not too bad right now.
Too bad, man. Holy cow! I look like my cat earlier when he's looking at a treat. Holy shit! It was crazy. What's also a treat? Following us on Instagram and Twitter. Boom, baby.
Ooh, that was a
At
good
Diggity
segue.
Podcast. Oh, you know it. Subscribe to us on YouTube also, Diggity, Diggity. And if you're listening to the podcast for the first time, hey, why not hit the little subscribe button? Whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, or wherever you're listening to great podcasts, we're there because we're also great. So hit the subscribe button for incredible, great video game food for your ear holes. You are welcome.
And there it is.
Yeah, with all of this, it is the Friday show. So before we jump into news, my dudes, Brody, do you want to hit us with the diggity deals?
For Nintendo Switch, you can get EvoLand Legendary Edition for $4.99 on the US eShop, which is a smaller indie game that I actually just heard of the other day and picked it up, and I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but it looks really cool.
Huh.
On Xbox, you can get Control for $33.74 from Amazon. The coupon will be applied at checkout. For PlayStation 4, you can get Monster Hunter World Iceborne Master Edition, which includes the base game and the DLC, for $44.99 from Amazon.
Wow, Monster Hunter World, that's not a bad deal. $44.
Yeah, with the new DLC,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good deal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
not too shabby.
All right. Let's jump right on into the news. PlayStation Plus free games for November. You're gonna get Neo, and you're gonna get Outlast 2. That's it. Not a big month, in my opinion, but whatever.
Well, speaking of not a big month, Xbox games with gold for November. Xbox One, you can get Sherlock Holmes from November 1st through the 30th, and Final Station from the 16th through the 15th of December. And for Xbox 360, you can get, which are also backwards compatible games, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter from November 1st through the 15th, and Joyride Turbo from the 16th through the 30th of November. Yeah, overall, not a great month for free games on either console. I feel like there is a player base for Neo. I personally have never played it, but there's a reason it's free. And how about you tell us why it's free, Jeff?
Well, that's because Neo 2 is getting a release date and a beta. A beta demo will be available from November 1st through the 10th. The beta will be available to all PlayStation players and will allow players to try out new elements and features in the game, such as character customization and new weapons. Completing the beta will give you the mark of the Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer. A reward that will unlock the Kamitachi helmet in the full game when it launches. The full game will launch March 13th, 2020, and is available for pre-order right now. So if you're a Neo fan, you got Neo for free. You're pissed now because you probably bought Neo if you're a Neo fan. But you can pre-order Neo 2 March 13th, 2020, and play this beta from the 1st to the 10th.
There you go. There you go.
Yep.
Duos are coming to Apex Legends. So starting November 5th, you can play duos. But again, this is only a limited time event because why would you make this permanent? I don't know. I don't get it. But the exact time frame of this event is still unknown. We don't know how long you're going to be able to play duos,
Oh,
but
great.
get in and do it while you can. And it will eventually go away, leaving only threes and ranked threes yet again, because why add features to the game?
Yeah. Hey, we know you'd like this feature. We'll have it here, but hey, it might leave, and we might not tell you when.
We hear you. You want to
I love
play
that
in
shit.
different groups, but
Yes, yes, I
we're
love
going to
that.
let you do this, and then we're going to take it away.
We hear you, and we're listening, and we want to
There's
bring you this feature, and we will, but we're also going to fucking take it away from you, and we will not tell you when, which makes you probably say to yourself, "You know what? I just kinda don't wanna play it because
Yeah, and
I don't like
instead
it."
of, exciting me about this, I just don't care.
No, something I might not care about. Battlefield series won't make a return for a bit. Ooh.
God, we're just shitting on everything tonight.
Ha! During an investor call this week, EA stated that the next Battlefield game will not be released until late 2021 or early 2022. It's a long ways away.
Yeah, it is.
Instead, EA will be doubling down on Apex Legends and making it their main shooter for the next year. It's kind of interesting, kind of
By
scary.
adding duos for short periods of time.
EA will be bringing Apex Legends to new platforms, including mobile, and will attempt to push the game hard in quotations in China. According to EA CEO Andrew Wilson, they want to see the next generation take off and get out of the growing pain stage before launching a new Battlefield. Makes sense. How about just launching a good Battlefield?
That would be fine. I would
That
be
that would
completely
be,
okay
I
with that.
think, a better strategy.
So the way they're talking about Apex Legends in this, I assume that it will be making it to Switch because it's pretty much on everything except for mobile and Switch right now. Um,
Uh-huh.
and taking a little bit of time off and spending some time to polish the next Battlefield iteration is probably a fantastic idea. Go ahead and do that, EA, instead of pumping these out every year or every other year. Spend a little bit of time, make it good, and people might love you again,
Make
but
a
probably not.
modern one.
Exactly. You
Just
need to
make a
go back to
modern one.
modern.
That's what everybody
Just
wants.
well, and I assume that they will be following the suit of Call of Duty by returning to, kind of more the beloved games in the series. I have heard
Whoa,
rumor
whoa,
that it's
whoa,
actually,
whoa. Let's not assume anything.
well,
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of like Burger King and McDonald's. They just follow each other constantly. They do the same shit between,
No, it's like
Call
Burger
of Duty
King.
and Pep,
One day they decide to fucking serve tacos.
which are terrible, by the way.
Expected.
Just saying. I haven't eaten one, but I
No
have
one was
seen one,
expecting
and it
them
was the
to be good.
saddest taco I have ever seen in my entire life.
No one was expecting to be good, though. The
My
bar's set so low.
I never had any intention of getting one, and my dad got one, and I looked at that thing, I go, "What the hell is that?"
What was
He ate
wrong
it.
with it?
Oh, dude, this thing was like it didn't even resemble a taco anymore.
Was
I
it
don't know what
was
this
it a hard
was.
shell taco?
It was like a soft hard shell taco, if that
Soft
makes
hard
sense.
shell.
It was flimsy, very flimsy
It had been
a-
sitting.
and pliable.
Ooh.
Yeah. And my father will eat anything, and even after he got done eating that taco, he goes, "That wasn't good." He ate it, but it was not good. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, they need to go back to a modern game, or I have heard rumors that it could potentially be returning to Bad Company, which is pretty much the most beloved games in the series. So that
Yeah.
would also be an okay move, but I would still much rather see
Battlefield.
modern. Give me Battlefield 6 in a modern setting. Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even maybe remake Battlefield 4.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that too.
Be nice, you know,
That'd be fine.
and their new Frostbite engine. I'd be cool with that. I mean,
Mhm.
pretty up to date in terms of military capabilities
Yeah.
as of now, but um,
So
cool, yeah.
PlayStation View will be shutting down here very
Oh,
shortly.
man. I almost
Ah.
I almost shedded a tear, and then I remembered, ha, Used it for like a week under the alias Lance Armstrong's left nut. Canceled it. Had a hard time canceling because I was in Canada at the time for a wedding, and didn't enjoy it. Didn't like it.
Yeah. So we're shitting on everything this episode, and it's very apparent. But the end of this episode will get happier. Don't worry, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So after 4 years, Sony has made the decision to shut down PlayStation View to instead focus solely on the gaming side of their business. Makes sense. Didn't work out for the Xbox One, so yeah, probably let's not lead with PlayStation View.
Hey, did
Uh,
Xbox have a streaming service, or did it just plug in and tie
no,
into
not
cable?
yeah. It just tied into your
Okay,
cable.
all right.
The service will be shutting down on January 30th, 2020, and PlayStation has made it very clear that movies and TV content will still be available through the PlayStation Store on the PS4
Mm.
through either their own apps and things. I assume they'll roll out something new that's not quite PlayStation View, but a little bit different, and through partners, so like the Fox app and shit like that. So
Yeah.
it'll still be there, but
Huh.
not there.
Um, my gripe with PlayStation View is the UI was pretty brutal to use.
Well, it's a
Um,
PlayStation UI, so
so it's the Burger King taco of
the
UIs.
Burger King taco of
That's
UIs.
gonna be our new rating. Um,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, just the UI was super weird for me. Some of the channels weren't that great, and the app crashed a couple times on me on
really?
different devices. Yeah, on
Hmm.
numerous devices. So it's kind of weird for me. And then, yeah, I mean, I'll always remember that customer service call though for the rest of my life.
Lance
Sir,
Armstrong's left
I
nut.
need your username for your account. And I was like, are you like you can't just use my cell phone number? Like, no, I need your user. Lance Armstrong's left nut. I mean,
Could you say that louder? I didn't catch that.
Lance Armstrong's left nut.
Do we?
Uh,
Is that the one he's missing or the one he still has?
didn't look into it too much to know which one he's missing, but I know he's missing a nut. So I decided just to pick a side. So I chose the left nut.
I love it. That's
I
great.
figured, whatever. If it's the right one, then whoa, he has no nuts now.
I'm
Um,
upset I didn't think of that before you.
oh man. You know what? When I get my
PlayStation back?
yeah,
Or get a PlayStation this next generation?
yeah.
Eh,
I will
revive that
5
wonderful
Lance
username.
Armstrong's left nut. Be great. Other news, NBA Live 20 has been canceled. In a message from the development team, EA says, lots of EA news today.
Yeah.
For some time, we've been putting in reps on our console
It's
basketball.
real corny, I'm sorry.
Oh my
But it's a
God.
direct quote.
It's
I
the
didn't
direct
write
quote
it.
from the all right. For some time, we've been putting in reps on our console basketball games. We're excited by our progress, but remain hyper ambitious, so we're not going to release NBA Live 20 this season. Alongside the NBA and NBPA, we have our sights set to creating something fresh for the next generation of players and platforms. We know we need to earn our future every step of the way, so we're taking time to get it right for our players. We promise to check back regularly with updates. Until then, we'll be on the grind, my dudes. Shit, hit the pop filter. Knew it. Knew that was going to happen tonight.
We haven't actually done that for a little while. It's
Cool.
about time.
So this is par for the course. I mean, basically, everyone's just saying, "Hey, we were going to make that game, and then we weren't. We actually weren't, and so now we're not, and we're going to wait a year until the new system."
Yeah, pretty much.
That's welcome to 2020 in gaming.
Eh, yeah,
It's
it's
going to be a
becoming a
rough year.
trend. It's becoming a trend to say you're pushing back games when you probably had no intentions of launching it within that
Correct.
period to begin with. But it makes you look better as a developer because you're like, hey, we're taking time to make sure this game is as great as we can make it, even though we aren't. We're making it this year, and then we're just gonna wait a year and then release it.
Them poor
No,
fuckers.
it is becoming a trend. If they are actually truly, setting it back for another year or so to actually work on the game, good. Bravo to them. I really would like to see games that actually come out polished, because the amount of games that are large AAA games that come out completely unpolished is just embarrassing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's terrible to see, and like we've seen it with 2K, WWE 2K, and
Oh,
with some of the NBA games and things like that. There's just way too many problems with these games that come out every year, year after year, and it's definitely time for these developers to slow down a little bit and maybe make the cycle last a little bit longer and give themselves some more time to actually polish things and not just copy and paste everything.
I'd like to see them also really utilize the consoles from the very beginning and
Yeah.
not have this shit where it's I mean, not that there's anything wrong with the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch most games get a bit of a downgrade when they're porting there, obviously, from the other consoles, but I don't know. I'd like to see them like really fully take advantage of everything on that system. I understand that, a couple years into that, those games will probably look totally different because they'll have tailored their engines to work with it. And I think they're going to unlock another core after a couple years, whatever, like they did on this last generation. But yeah, I'd like to see them like totally utilize them rather than just here's a port. Here's
Right.
Fallout 76. Here's blah 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 blah. Here's 2K20, and it's just what they would
Yeah.
have done on the Xbox One, but just ported to whatever the next Xbox is.
That's kind of the growing pains we go through with every console generation. There were games that were releasing simultaneously on the 360 and the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as they were coming out, and
Yeah,
it was very much that thing of you're populating the beginning of a new console generation with games that are still playing on the last console generation. So you're really not gaining anything. I mean, for the most part, they were pretty much identical. They ran slightly better and looked a little bit better, but for the most part, it was very much the idea of this is just ported to the new console. There's no purpose for this console at this point. And yeah, I agree. I think having something ready to go that is actually utilizing what is on these new generations is going to be extremely important and something that I would really like to see.
right. And with both these consoles, or at least one of these consoles, the PS5 being confirmed, that's going to have ray tracing. I mean, you're going to see some incredible graphics, especially for
Oh yeah.
sports games. It's going to be fantastic for
Yeah.
sports games. So I'm stoked.
So after you tried to shit on the Nintendo Switch, I've got some good sales
No,
numbers.
I didn't shit on it.
No, so Nintendo has been absolutely killing it. So they released some new sales numbers fairly recently that are up until September 30th, 2019, and they kind of span the life of the Switch so far. So 41.67 million. Sorry, 41.67 million. I don't know why it's just 6 and 7. Nintendo Switches have been sold since March 3rd, 2017, or the release of the Switch.
Crazy.
6.93 million Switches have sold so far in the 2019 fiscal year. 4.8 million of them being sold between July 30th and September 30th. I'm sure nobody cares about these numbers, but I'm a nerd for this shit. I love it.
Oh, people care. People care.
The Switch Lite sold 1.95 million units within 10 days of launch.
Jesus.
Turquoise being the most popular color available at launch, which the Pokemon Switch Lite will be releasing alongside the game on November 15th. So we'll see how that one sells. I imagine pretty well because it looks really cool. Fire Emblem has sold 2.29 million units so far, which is really good for a Fire Emblem game. It only hits a very certain market there, but larger than what we've seen before here. But current top 10 selling games for the Nintendo Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 19.1 million. Uh, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with 15.771 million. Super Mario Odyssey 15.38 million. Breath of the Wild with 14.54 million. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee 11.28 million. Splatoon 2 with 9.28 million. Super Mario Party 7.59 million. New Super Mario Brothers Ultimate Deluxe with 4.59 million, Super Mario Maker 2 with 3.93 million, and The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening with 3.13 million. And this again also only accounts for 10 days of sales, since this only goes up to September 30th. So really good numbers. I imagine that Link's Awakening will definitely overtake Super Mario Maker, and probably, I bet you it'll fall right under Super Mario Party. Um, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, the Switch just continues to kill it. So Xbox doesn't release their numbers anymore. That's something they kind of went dark on. But the Nintendo Switch has probably almost surpassed the Xbox One lifetime sales in half the time, less than half the time actually. So
Freaking
that
crazy, dude.
that shows a lot right there. Granted, Japan also doesn't buy Xbox, so that's a huge market that Xbox does not see. And
1% ownership,
yeah, yeah, very,
Xbox
very
One,
small.
Japan.
Whereas, obviously Nintendo is massive in Japan. So, yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, these impressive numbers come from a Switch, and
Oh, yeah.
it gets kind of jabbed at for being the port machine, but
Mhm.
uh,
Seems to
it
work.
it does it well, if
Yeah, I
nothing
mean,
else.
if they can really come out with something that is, I know that they obviously have the new Nintendo Switch, but if they can come out with something that has a premium attached to it, like what everyone's doing now, all the hardware makers with the Pro
Hmm.
attaching, like Nintendo Switch Pro, where like it's a finer material, a better screen material, that kind of stuff. I think that would sell like hotcakes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense to get, if you're wanting a second Switch, it makes more sense to pick up, a Switch Pro versus a Switch Lite.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you have kids, the Switch Lite is a great idea as well. Like, we're kind
Oh
of talking
yeah.
about getting a Switch Lite, and maybe doing it as a shared, or part of it, like a shared Christmas gift for my boys for Christmas type of thing, and
Yeah, because then they don't
partially
bust up
for
the
me as well.
Joy-Cons, and they don't, it's just they can just grab it and go, and it's just there. I mean, it's a Game Boy-esque, right? I mean, it's
Right.
rather than it plugging into a TV and you're losing the controllers or putting the controllers on upside down. Oh my god.
No,
Oh
my
god.
worst nightmare. My
Uh,
my kids haven't done that yet, but
uh,
it's actually been adults that have scared me with it the
yeah.
most.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. Yeah. Something also that's had an incredible week, Modern Warfare. So the game had $600 million in sales in the first 3 days of release. Some accolades the game earned so far are the following: top selling new premium game release of 2019, the biggest selling digital opening in Activision history, which is insane. It set PS4 record with the highest digital sales in the first 3 days. Sold more units in the first 3 days than any other Call of Duty 3 day opening ever in this console generation, and the biggest Call of Duty PC launch ever of all time in history. The absolute bestest, most tremendous, um, incredible. Definitely warrants all these, and we'll get into that with our review of Modern Warfare. Dude, you want to start off? We broke it down into 6 categories: graphics, sounds, um, gameplay, story thoughts, multiplayer thoughts, and obviously our overall rating. And our rating system, as a refresher for people, because we haven't done a review in a little while,
It's been a
is
little bit.
is buy it, wait for it to go on sale, slash rent it, or do not touch. We don't do a numerical voting or rating system. We just do a rating system based on
What you would
what
tell a
what
friend.
you what you would tell a friend.
Right.
Brody, this is 4.
This is a 4.
Uh,
Okay, what the fuck does that mean?
all
Uh,
right, dude, go for it.
so I'll run through mine first, and then I'll let you kind of run through yours, because we
Yeah,
have
sure.
both played this one here, which we haven't done a dual first impressions or review in a while.
Yes.
But graphics wise, it's actually a pretty gorgeous game. I'm very impressed with how it looks. Especially with, the online aspect of it. It holds up very well even in that, but the story in itself is fantastic. It looks so great. Very impressed with, how the guns look, the details on them, and things like that. I have not run into anything graphically that stood out as something goofy. I have seen that some people were trying to turn up the resolution on PC, and it doesn't actually do much for them. Actually, it makes it look worse, which, again, I've been playing on Xbox, so this has not been an issue for me. And it's a day one Xbox, mind you. But it does look great. Sounds are fantastic. The voice acting in the story is wonderful. I think everybody that was a voice actor in that story really just knocked it out of the park. It is your big action kind of blockbuster type game, so it is over the top, but it knows it's over the top too. But it does it well, and the sound effects are fantastic. Explosions sound great. Nothing sounds like it's muted. All the guns sound unique. They all sound, pretty much like what they should. I'm fairly familiar with most guns, and I don't really see anything that stands out to where this wouldn't be right. And again, we've talked about this before, but silenced weapons are not truly silenced in real life. If you put a silencer, it's not like it sounds like a ting. It's not a ting, but in video games, it makes sense to make it sound drastically different in order to improve,
Mhm.
that immersiveness. Gameplay wise, it is really good. The gunplay is exactly what you expect from Call of Duty, which I don't really care if you don't like Call of Duty. You can't deny that their gunplay isn't top notch. Um, the one thing that is drastically different in this game is the time to kill. The time to kill is very quick. So in multiplayer, you do die extremely fast. So your reaction time is very vital in this. But there's a few things that are missing. Footsteps are kind of loud, which is kind of a gameplay slash sound type thing kind of mixed together here. So while you're playing online, you hear footsteps constantly, and it does affect how you play. And they're maybe a little bit too loud, I guess. Um, and again, that's something they can patch fairly easily. You also have characters that give certain callouts, which is great if you're playing in a team that is not using a mic, which I have not ran into very many teams that are using mics. It's just not something that's commonplace like it used to be. So the call outs are great, but at the same time, they're also very loud. Again, it's kind of one of those things you run into a building and somebody's like, enemies over there. You're like, holy shit, how about you just calm down? I mean, I understand we're at war here, but it's a little much. Um, but as far as, gameplay overall, I think the game plays fantastic. It is exactly what I wanted to see from Call of Duty. It is exactly what I was hoping for going into this because I was concerned. I have not really played much of a Call of Duty. There's no jump packs or jet packs, sorry, or like special ability type things that are ridiculously over the top. They do kind of have a special ability type thing that you earn, but they're a lot more minor. It's not like you get a giant grenade launcher with damn near unlimited rounds and you're just blowing people up left and right. There's nothing super overpowered there that I've run into so far. Story wise, the story was incredible. I absolutely love the story. I understand there are some historical things that don't quite line up, but at the same time, this is set in a fictional world based on real events. So yeah, that's kind of what you run into. The story, I sat down and played it in one sitting. I sat down at, I believe it was 11 o'clock, and I finished up playing it around, it was around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's about a
He's a
five and a half,
mad lad.
6 hour campaign. It was something that was completely gripping, and I couldn't put it down. It was one of those things I wanted to beat it in that one sitting. I didn't want to wait to beat it later. Granted, some of that comes because of my work schedule, and I didn't want to have to wait a week to play it again. And so I did want to play it, but at the same time, there was a little bit of pressure there to get through it.
You did it
Um,
for the diggity.
I did it for the diggity. That's right. Um, But yeah, the story is wonderful, and there was so much variety in kind of what you were doing. It wasn't just this constant, oh, push up to the next area and now you're fighting enemies, and then push to the next area and fighting enemies. There was variety and there was different things. There's like a sniper mission, there's stealth missions, there's all the variety that you've seen in Call of Duty games in the past, but more. Multiplayer overall, I think is great. Again, the time to kill takes some getting used to. The 2v2 matches are fun, just like they were in the beta. I absolutely love them. I played some of those with Ethan, who has made an appearance on this on this podcast
Hey.
one time. But we played some of the 2v2 and had a blast doing it. They're intense, they're frantic, and they kind of make you try to use tactics and stuff to gain the advantage and work together. But overall, everything that in the multiplayer again lines up with what you'd see from Call of Duty games, except for better. I think they've taken the Call of Duty formula and made it better in any way or in every way. And the ground war with the 32 versus 32 is awesome still. It's so great. And the crossplay works effortlessly. I mean, I haven't really run into any issues. There is kind of the issue of, once you do enable crossplay, you are still playing with PC players, so you will be playing some mouse and keyboard stuff, which I wish they, from what I understood beforehand, they were supposed to allow you to set it up to where you were only playing with certain input types. But as far as I could see in the settings, that was not an actual option. So once the crossplay is enabled, there is the potential that you will play with somebody playing mouse and keyboard. But I will say with crossplay enabled, I did still play with a lot of Xbox players. It did seem to still throw me into lobbies that were predominantly Xbox players, but you could get some PlayStation and some PC players in there as well. Uh, and the multiplayer was for the most part flawless. I only had a few games where it seemed like something was off, like there was this weird lag going on. But for the most part, it was few and far in between, which is kind of what you get with online multiplayer sometimes.
Mhm.
Overall, I am extremely happy with this game so far, which again, until we see what the microtransactions are actually going to look like, it's kind of hard to judge it. Most of the time Call of Duty's come out with really good, reviews, and everybody's talking pretty highly of them within the first month of launch. So the true test of time will be, 2 months down the road here, when we can see how the game evolves and what they do after the fact. So it is kind of hard to give it a complete rating right now, but I would say for me, this is something I would absolutely recommend to a friend. It's something that I had a lot of fun with the story. I'm having a lot of fun with the multiplayer. And if you are interested in a frantic multiplayer game, this is the one. I mean, this so far has met what I hoped for and exceeded it even. I mean, I was cautious because it is Call of Duty and they have in the past, screwed things up a lot. And but I think this is a return to the Call of Duty from the golden days. So yeah, I'm gonna say I recommend it for sure. Buy it.
Sweet. So for my review of this, it's a little interesting because you had purchased all the way up to the most recent Call of Duty game previous to this, and for
I
me,
didn't have World War II. I
oh yeah,
had
that's
I
right,
had
that's right.
played Black Ops 4.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I'd never played World War II, and I hadn't
yeah.
played Advanced or Infinite Warfare,
Infinite
but
Warfare.
I did pick up the Black Ops series, which I always turn to regret in the long run.
So for me, I had just like either rented or played a lot of other Call of Duties since like Black Ops, like honestly two.
Mhm.
I got really just kind of drowned out by Call of Duty and what a Call of Duty game was and the community online with it and the gameplay of it, and I just saw it going towards that advanced warfare style, and I went, okay, nope, no thanks. And the Infinite Warfare was kind of like, okay. So I kind of dropped it for a long time. Um, but this surprised the shit out of me. So I'll just jump right into it. So for graphics, the game looks incredible. The first part of it, for me, that really caught me off guard was really the campaign. When we got into the campaign for the graphics, the cutscenes alone are high quality cutscenes, but the fact of that there's and obviously there's transitions coming by transitions from cutscenes straight into gameplay is obviously like a standard nowadays in AAA titles, but these are so smooth that half like the cutscene will be going on halfway through, you'll be able to control the camera within the cutscene, and then you're just in there, and like I would catch myself being like, oh shit, okay, I can go. I can
Yeah.
move now. Okay, wow, holy crap. The character design's awesome. I actually really thought that the characters looked really, really cool within the campaign itself, and actually believable, if that kind of makes sense. Like they weren't
Yeah.
just like GI Joe style like shit. They had their own like specialties to how they were dressed or how they looked, and it just seemed a lot more real than past Call of Duties for me for the graphics. Running around was something in the graphics I was pretty stunned by too. That like they killed it with the right amount of blur, the right amount of vision controlling while you're running around in this game. It's just fantastic. The guns look incredibly realistic. The vehicles look fairly realistic in the story itself. Still, for some fucking reason, we cannot perfect a pickup truck, but whatever. I digress. But overall, the graphics in this game are just phenomenal. Loved it. Loved every second of the graphics within this game. Sounds, you hit the nail on the head. There's some stuff that sounds exactly as it should. There's some stuff that's obviously exaggerated because it's a video game, and you want to hear other people's shots, while and being able to distinguish things differently while you're running around in multiplayer or whether you're doing a mission and campaign. But the sounds are fantastic. I wore primarily headphones while I played this game. While I was playing campaign and also through multiplayer. And I caught myself numerous times pausing and stopping for a second to distinguish what's going on and what I'm actually hearing in the story, and if it actually mattered or not for me to hear it, because there'll be missions where you're going along and there'll just be other characters making sounds or noises or having a discussion, and it might not actually even matter to the story itself, and in some cases it really does matter in certain missions. um Moving on from there, from gameplay, quick is what I would say for it, but
Yeah.
not not stupid quick. Like the Call of Duty franchise has always kind of pissed me off in some essence, because it's either felt for me in some games that it was like super slow and campy as shit, or it's been um uh uh just wickedly fast. And your point to where you're saying, the obviously you die pretty quickly now in multiplayer. Absolutely true. But at the same time, also like the running and stuff like that feels a lot more natural rather than like freaking out, like running it for like like crazy. This feels a lot more natural. The game actually feels like a war game, and more closer to that battlefield-esque like simulation of war, rather than an arcade-esque style game that happens to be war themed for multiplayer, in my own personal opinion. Gameplay and the story, and I'm just dissecting everything from like multiplayer to story for these first three pegs. Multiplayer gameplay, cool. There some parts that are a little confusing. There's some parts where I was kind of like, what do they want me to do? Okay, or like I'd miss some shit would just be too loud, and I would miss what they were saying in some scenes. But you could always click a button and basically know where you had to go, which was kind of nice. So I had to actually use that a couple times. So I got stuck at one point in one thing. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a part where you have to hide a key, and you're in like a prison as one of the characters, and they say hide the key, and I expected that I had to hide the key. Well, the character actually just hides the key for you. And
Yeah,
so I
that
was
one
just
was a
like,
little weird.
yeah, so I was like running around while this, you know, villainous character comes towards my cell, and I'm trying to like go like, where the hell do I put the key? Where do I put it? I put it in this bucket, in this window, whatever. And then all of a sudden he just comes in. I'm like, okay, I
I
guess I don't have to
guess I
cut. And
just
then the
have
whole
it.
time I'm like, okay, cool. So am I going to fail this mission? Like he's going to find the key, or like what, what happens? And then it turns out it just was hidden for me. But the gameplay all the way through, with the story was fantastic. The story itself, so story thoughts, uh, dude, this is one of the best campaigns I've probably ever played. Like in any game, honestly. Like I think this is fan fucking tastic. Like it is so neat to see how they do flashbacks for one character in particular that just make you actually like completely feel for that character and understand like what that person went through, which is crazy. I mean, it's akin to like Red Dead Redemption 2, where I said there's some parts in between where it would, die out and then it would pick you back up and then it would die out and pick you back up again. The ending is fantastic of Red Dead 2, but this is just long enough of a campaign to where, it definitely it hits all the marks for me, honestly, and it just flows so nicely. There was never a time where I was like, "Wait, why am I here?" or "Who am I playing?" or "Who is this?" I was never confused at that moment. I was only confused at possibly what I might have to do in those situations. But the story I thought was just absolutely incredible. Multiplayer. Ground War, super huge contender for Battlefield. I think if Battlefield can make a realistic mode that's slower, that plays like the Battlefield that we know and love to this day, but then can also create something that is like this, which is a little bit faster pace, then Battlefield has a huge could have a huge gain next go around in 2021 or 2022, I guess at this point. But Ground War is fantastic. Your classic multiplayer modes, I enjoyed it. It felt like an older Call of Duty game, but it felt like a more polished older Call of Duty game. And the gunfire definitely it takes a little bit to get used to with how quick you die. Um, the other complaint I have for this is probably just camping. Uh, it seems to be a little bit of a camper's paradise right now. And I'm sure that might change with either possibly map adjustments down the road, who knows, or just the introduction of new maps and taking a look at that. I hope that they do take a look at the new maps that they're coming out with and try to make them less campy esque, I guess, in little zones where you can camp, just because it is becoming a bit of a problem. And that's kind of a common complaint online. Other than that, I thought it was great. What you alluded to with cross-platform play. I also found myself just being in a lot of Xbox parties. Like, I mean, I didn't. I mean, I saw a couple PS4s here and there, but it's I didn't really think that I was getting a good mix, which I don't know. I would have felt like if I'm a single player trying to play multiplayer, I would get a mix of 50-50, you know what I want, or as close to as you would want to show off that feature. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I had no qualms with multiplayer. I think the game alone, dude, for the campaign alone is worth it. Honest to God. Like, I think that
It was a damn
campaign
good
was
campaign.
just so solid. Um, I'm an Xbox user, so I'm pissed that I have to wait like a year for the Spec Ops. Um,
Well, and I guess Spec Ops isn't actually there in the way that you would expect, even on PlayStation.
oh, really?
Because like there's the co-op missions, and that's kind of what they're calling Spec Op. I don't know. I don't know exactly what
So
happened
are we
there.
gonna get like story DLC down the
I
road?
I don't
Because that'd
know.
be
And
awesome.
that was one thing I did forget to mention. At the end of the story, it says the story will continue in Spec Ops, and I instantly got pissed off because I invested myself so much into the story. And again, playing on Xbox, we're
Mhm.
not supposed to get Spec Ops until a year from now. But from what I've been reading, Spec Ops still isn't 100% what we expected on PlayStation. So I don't really know what's going on there. Again, I have it
Huh.
on Xbox, so it's hard for me to really compare other than other people's word. But
Huh.
uh, yeah, I don't really know.
Hmm. Weird. One last thing before I give my overall rating on this. I read some other reviews on this game and watched some YouTubers talk about it and stuff. And there was a couple times in particular that it came up where they thought that it was like too political. Not in the sense of like uh, stressing like some sort of like social justice point or something like that, but more in the sense of like pushing the US military. And my thought to that is it's a military game.
It's Call
There's
of Duty of all things, even. I
correct.
mean,
There's also representation of like 3 or 4 different countries in there. There's also a fake country, which is where it takes place. Um, but yeah, they went into like stuff where it's like, oh, like yeah, they were able to make a fake country so that they could you know, quantify war crimes in some cases. Stuff. It's a fucking game, dude. Like, just
yeah.
play the game.
Yeah,
God, quit.
and like I
Ugh.
said, it is a fictional game based on some real life events. So yeah, you are going to get that weird crossover where it's like, yeah, but this is pretty much this, and this is how this went down, and it's like, yes, but again, it's a fictional video game.
Mhm. One of the things in the game that blew me away was there is a mission in the campaign where you have to do I mean you're basically like doing an airstrike, but you're up in the actual vehicle itself, and it's at night, and it utilizes the pretty much if you've ever been on YouTube and you search up like airstrike videos or whatever, it's like a black and white video, and then it shows, the smoke and the target and all that kind of stuff, right? When you're shooting it. This shit looked so realistic to that.
Yeah,
I was blown away. The night vision, yeah, whatever, that's one thing, cool, great. This shit looked so real, bro. I mean, I was like, holy shit. Like as soon as you pull the trigger on that thing and it fires, that is exactly what it looks like.
yeah, it's almost identical.
Exactly to a fucking T what it looks like looking through those screens. So, I was just stunned at that. Overall, I give this a buy, like a go out and buy this 100%. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna go on sale Black Friday. Maybe a good chance you get like maybe like $10 off or something with like a deal.
Yeah, I doubt it'll
Um,
be anything crazy.
but honestly, I wouldn't wait even for the deal. I go pick it up, man. The campaign alone is just incredible. It's so worth it. The multiplayer, awesome. Brody and I unfortunately have not been able to play multiplayer together that much because just schedules, but we'll be able to do that soon. But you know, man, this is really a killer Call of Duty game. I mean, this thing is back with vengeance, this series for sure. Not that it was, that it died completely, but it definitely was on the downswing. And this is just, I mean, this has kicked ass. And obviously the sales numbers privy to this definitely prove that. So we'll have to see what Modern Warfare 2 is like. Holy shit.
No shit.
That'll be a big thing, bro, when they bring that back.
Yeah, well, hell yeah,
Massive.
well.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, this episode took time and effort to create. If you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Diggity Podcast, or you can support us by heading over to audibletrial.com/Diggity to get your free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial of Audible, an audiobook service by Amazon. Head on over to audibletrial.com/Diggity to get access to a ton of audiobook titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or wherever you listen to your audiobook your audiobook podcast. Good Lord. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Search for Diggity Gaming or just search for Diggity, Diggity. You can find me on Xbox One. My gamer tag is Maple Jeff Brody.
Mine is Luscious Brody, and on PlayStation, Wolverine's cousin.
Sweet. Guys, leave us a review. It helps us out a ton. Whether it's comment on one of our YouTube videos or review on our iTunes page or Spotify or Google Podcast page, does two things. One, helps us get noticed because usually engagement is what gets you noticed on these sites. And two, it gives us feedback to make sure that we can make our content better each and every single week. So until next time, guys, we will see you for the Wednesday show. See ya.
Ooh, Battlefield, you best take some notes from Call of Duty.